Some major updates for you on the ongoing Ukraine-Russia conflict. First round of talks between Russia and Ukraine has been concluded. What happened in the talks? Will there be more talks? Secondly, in Kharkiv, a region of Ukraine, a massive Russian military offensive is underway. Civilian residential areas are also being targeted. Two mayors of this region have been arrested by Ukrainian government. Why is that? Thirdly was Belarus. Reportedly, Belarusian forces are on their way towards Ukraine border. We have a video clip for you. Ukraine has been warning that Belarus could deploy its troops to Ukraine to support Russian forces. And some Belarusian convoys, military convoys, are on their way towards Ukraine border. And secondly, a referendum was held in Belarus yesterday. What was the purpose of this referendum? And lastly, viewers, some updates. Russia has closed its airspace to 27 countries, and Macron and Putin talked today. What did Putin say to Macron? Firstly, first round of talks between Ukraine and Russia was held today. The talks were held in Gomel. Gomel is in Belarus. It is on Belarus-Ukraine border. From Ukraine, its defense minister led the delegation. Russian, Ukrainian delegations held talks for around 6 hours. Important thing about today's talks is that neither of the two parties walked out. It means that the two sides talked for 5 to 6 hours. The talks were conducted behind closed doors. We don't know what happened inside, but Russian head of delegation has been heard saying that he was cautiously optimistic. Another important thing is that two sides have agreed to continue talks. Next round of talks will be held at Polish border, Poland-Ukraine border. The next round will be held. So things are moving in the right direction, it seems. Meanwhile, some Ukrainian government officials, they say that in the talks, Ukraine demanded that Russian forces withdraw from Donbass and Crimea, which is not very likely. Of course, Russians will never withdraw from Crimea. They have recognized Luhansk and Donetsk as independent countries. So these are just maximalist positions adopted by Ukraine. Russia has its own maximalist demands. The talks have been held, and at least the two sides are sitting at the table. I was comparing Ukraine-Russia war and Tigray conflict, Ethiopia's Tigray conflict, which I've been covering for the past 16 months. Now, for the past 16 months, Ethiopian federal government, Tigray regional government, they have been involved in a deadly civil war. And so far, no direct talks have started. But you see that in Russia-Ukraine conflict, just after 5 days, the two sides sat at the table. That is how you resolve conflicts. Second, viewers, Kharkiv region of Ukraine is under a fierce attack from Russians. Russians have been trying to make inroads into Kharkiv for the past 5 days. They have suffered some losses as well. Yesterday we shared some video clips showing Russian military equipment destroyed in Kharkiv. But today they launched a major offensive on Kharkiv. And fighting in Kharkiv streets is being reported. Rockets, Smerch rockets are being fired. Some sources say cluster munitions, which are banned, they are being used by Russian forces. And several videos are being shared showing that Some civilian residential areas are also being targeted in Kharkiv. So far, situation is fluid. So despite ongoing talks, fighting is also intensifying. Two mayors in Kharkiv region were arrested by Ukrainian government today. Uh, Pivdany's mayor, Alexander Birokhanov, and Kopyansk mayor Hanade Mazihora. Both have been arrested. They are being charged with treason. The two mayors were in talks with Russian forces and they were surrendering. So, Ukrainian forces have arrested the two mayors in Kharkiv region. Mariupol is also under siege, viewers. Russians are putting pressure upon Mariupol, and reportedly, Russian forces have surrounded Mariupol. They could enter, they could take control of Mariupol in coming hours. It might happen. Thirdly, Belarusian forces have been seen moving towards Ukraine border. We have been hearing rumors for the past 2 days that Belarus was going to deploy its troops in Ukraine to support Russian forces. A video clip for you, which is from Kobrain, which is an area in Belarus. It is in Brest region, close to Belarus-Ukraine border. Here, a huge convoy of Belarusian military can be seen on its way towards Ukraine border. Meanwhile, a referendum was held in Belarus yesterday. 65.2% voters voted in support of renunciation of non-nuclear status of Belarus. Why was this referendum in Belarus held, viewers? We know that fighting is going on Belarus-Ukraine border. More than 30,000 Russian troops are in Belarus. From Belarus, they are entering Ukraine. And Belarus is renouncing its non-nuclear status. Experts say that Russia wants to deploy its nuclear warheads to Belarus. That is why this referendum was held yesterday in Belarus. Lastly, viewers, Putin and Macron held a phone call today. And again, Putin made three demands. Firstly, he said that Ukraine be a neutral state. It should not be part of NATO or EU. And secondly, he said that there must be elimination of Nazi elements in Ukraine. Demilitarization of Ukraine must be ensured. And Russian government's sovereignty over Crimea must be accepted by Ukraine. All three demands are very strict demands. Will Ukraine agree to any of these demands? That remains to be seen. But that is what reportedly Putin conveyed to Macron today in the phone call. Meanwhile, Russia has closed its airspace to 27 countries. And France is one of them. France, Germany, Spain, and several other European countries. Russia has closed its airspace to them. These countries, EU countries, most of them, they have also closed their airspace to Russian flights. There is a serious disconnect between the EU and Russia. Meanwhile, Russian economy is suffering. Today, Russian ruble declined by 30%, and Russian economy could shrink by 20% in coming months. Most experts say that EU sanctions, US sanctions could have serious impact on Russian economy. It could lead to pressure upon Russian President Putin as well. we could see demands from within the country to end this war. Protests are going on, we know. Business community could ask Putin to reconsider his decision of invasion of Ukraine. The way things are progressing, let's see. Meanwhile, the important thing is that supply of Russian gas to Europe continues. The pipeline passes through Ukraine. Ukraine receives transit fees from Russia. So while fighting is going on, Ukraine is receiving transit fees from Russia. Russian gas is being pumped to Europe, EU countries. Europe is receiving this gas. At the same time, Europe is imposing sanctions on Russia, and Russia is closing its airspace to EU countries as well.